How many times in your life have you found yourself in a seemingly impossible situation? Whether it's writing a paper, doing research, attempting to get into band or onto a team, trying to get a job, anything in life. How many times have you found yourself in one of those situations where you just tried and tried and tried and you finally got to the point you said, there's nothing more I can do? A lot of what we're going to talk about in Home of the Brave is those types of situations, which is why we've called the book Home of the Brave, Confronting and Conquering Challenging Times. Because whether it's personally or collectively, we live in challenging times. Now, part of the secret is to understand some basic physics. So for those of you who are studying physics, whether you like it or not, let's talk about one of Newton's basic laws of physics. Namely, for every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. And let me see if I can illustrate that really quickly in a couple of ways. Here is a .270 caliber round for my deer rifle. Now, when I put this in my rifle and I fire this particular round, Newton's law comes into play. As the bullet escapes the barrel, there is a pushback or a recoil on me that's relatively substantial. I can feel it. I can feel that feedback when I fire my gun. This is a .50 caliber military round. You can note the difference. Imagine the amount of recoil that would come if you were to fire this round from a weapon. Because of Newton's law, for every action, we're moving a much larger bullet, there's an equal but opposite reaction. This baseball is roughly 3 inches in diameter. And in the military, years ago, during the time of the Revolutionary War, they had a gun they called a 3-inch cannon. And it was a naval gun, and it fired a projectile about this big. Now, if you think of the amount of recoil from this round, compare it to the amount of recoil from this round, then think about a round this size and how much recoil, how much equal but opposite reaction you would feel. Let me tell you about a famous American, someone nobody seems to know about. His name was John Barry. When George Washington was bogged down at Valley Forge in that winter, when his troops had no food, no clothes, no shoes, and everything seemed lost, the British took advantage of that situation by pushing their naval ships way up the rivers to get farther and farther inland and to get more and more opportunity to win the battle. George Washington took John Barry aside one day and he said, "John, I need your help." And he said, "Well, what can I do to help?" And he said, "You have got to find a way to get these ships out of these rivers so that they cannot keep bringing the battle to us." And John asked the question everyone would ask, and that is, "I'd be glad to. What do I have to get the job done? What resources? What support?" And the answer General Washington gave him was, "You have nothing." Now, John Barry, to his credit, rather than saying, "Well, there's nothing more I can do," like we've all felt at times, said, "Well, let me see what I can come up with." And so he got together a group of men, and one of the things they did is they stole or borrowed a bunch of small boats, little rowboats, sloops, little tiny boats. And then they stole some of these 3-inch cannon that fired bullets this size. And they mounted these cannon on these little tiny boats. Now this is almost like a cartoon if you think about it. I want you to imagine the amount of recoil that would come when you fire a 3-inch bullet out of that cannon and what that would do to the little rowboat. As that bullet's going this way, that rowboat's going this way at an incredible speed. And so you'd have to be either incredibly brave or incredibly crazy to try this. But because he loved his country, because he was loyal to General Washington, he and his men did this very thing. They mounted 3-inch cannon on rowboats. Under cover of darkness, they rowed those boats out into the rivers, and they fired 3-inch projectiles at the British. And they did severe damage to those boats and chased the British. These huge naval ships chased them out of the harbor because they understood this principle. Every time you want to say there's nothing more I can do, there is always something you can do if you are willing to bring together character and teamwork and creativity. One of the principles that Home of the Brave teaches us is how to produce results in situations where results seem impossible. When you come to the Home of the Brave experience that we're going to have together, we're going to cover 10 great stories from American history, based on the lives of 10 great Americans. And we are going to learn 10 skills that you and I in our everyday lives can apply today to do better, to accomplish more, to achieve more, to be more successful in pursuing the things that we are passionate about, both today and in our future. I really hope that you will make the effort and find the time to be here. I want to share with you the great blessing that it is to be part of this great country, which is rooted in a type of collective DNA in the lives of great Americans, where we can learn from their lives and apply them in ours to have a great today and a greater tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you there.